So it's crazy. I had this conversation the other day, and I was talking to this young man, and I was telling him that it's a difference. If you have somebody who goes and because they break it in houses now, and it's like a big thing.
Right.
But you break in my house and you steal stuff from my house. And this is an older lady, and she has no way of defending herself. She don't have no sons to address the issue. But you took advantage of an older person.
Right.
One, you didn't even go take it. You broke in the house and you stole it from her.
Right.
So I'm not going to say she a snitch.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because she defended her property the only way she has the ability to do it.
Right.
Now, if me and you go commit a crime,
right,
and I tell anything about that,
right,
then that's snitching.
Right.
You know what I mean? If we in affiliation, or even if I'm not a part of your crime,
right,
and I know you did that crime, that's snitching.
Right.
If I go on the Instagram and I'm reposting a crime that somebody did, that is snitching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's different levels to this shit, but it's all the same thing.
Right.
A woman who can't defend herself.
Right.
That's not snitching. You know what I'm saying? Then I was looking at the R. Kelly situation, right? That's what's really popular.
Yeah, because that's even a lot of cats is coming out when other things are coming out. Like, why you snitching? Why you getting involved in that business? They ain't got nothing to do with you.
You know, I mean, I look at different media platforms. If you're trying to build a media platform, you have a right to discuss all of that. Because then that would be saying, ABC can talk about it, NBC can talk about it,
but we can't talk about it.
But we can't talk about it. That don't make no sense.
Right.
I mean, we creating your own platform. It's a blog. You do whatever you're doing. You should talk about all the relevant issues.
Right.
And we should be able to talk about the relevant issues in our community.
Right. Absolutely.
That's very important.
All issues pertaining to Snoopy Blue, the motherfucking low. You feel me? All of a sudden, I got shot. What was that, like maybe 3-4 years ago? Now, me and this bitch ass nigga Spider, because he think I'm against him and I'm making moves, this paperwork show up. So we gonna address that shit. Where the fuck in the paperwork do it say? First of all, let's define snitching. Snitching is that nigga did it. Where in that paperwork does Snoopy Blue say that nigga did it? Plain and point blank, simple. Where did I say that nigga did it? So all that blase shit, that's bullshit. You feel me? Now, as far as me going to court, nigga, I got subpoenaed to go to court. Nigga, they put a warrant for my motherfucking arrest, nigga. Who the fuck ain't, nigga, I was gonna go to court regardless, nigga, whether in handcuffs or on the street. You understand me? Now, understand me? So it didn't make a difference, nigga. I had to have fucking surgery, nigga, open heart surgery. Who the fuck wants to go to jail just to say the same shit I was gonna say whether I was in handcuffs or not? I don't know who shot me, nigga. That's what I said. I don't know. I never said that nigga shot me. So, you bitch ass nigga Spider, if this the best you got, come with it, nigga, because when I start airing shit, nigga, I'ma be airing for days, nigga. This the best you got? Come on, cuz, break the paperwork down. Where did I say that nigga shot me? You feel me? You, Spider, cuz I ain't never had nothing against you. All I ever did, nigga, was support and love your motherfucking ass. You feel me? That's all the homies ever did. But you turned your back, nigga. You think you bigger than everybody and everything. You think niggas supposed to support your bullshit, my nigga. Come on, cuz, you don't even fuck with niggas to support you, my nigga. You don't even want East Coast niggas around you, my nigga. Niggas know the real, cuz. So please, I don't be speaking on you, cuz I be doing my own thing, but it seems like, nigga, you be hating from a distance because I be doing my thing, you feel me? And then you be like, sending your little haters and your little fans for me, nigga, because you supposed to be congratulating your homie, nigga, for making moves. But you want niggas to support your bullshit, my nigga. That's your bullshit, my nigga. You don't fuck with homies, cuz. So why should we fuck with you?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, just got some paperwork here. We're going to go over this. You guys tell me if this is snitching or not. I got a lot to cover here, so I'm just going to go ahead and get at it. But you guys can clearly see this paperwork here. So here we go. Pelican Bay State Prison, Unit A3. You guys see that up there? And let's get right into this. Statement of probable cause. I, Detective Marsico, serial number 32006, have been employed by the Los Angeles Police Department for over 21 years. I'm currently assigned to Southeast Gang Detectives. I have worked various gang assignments throughout my career and have conducted hundreds of violent crime investigations, which most were committed by gang members. I am familiar with the criminal element and sophisticated activities of many gangs in Southeast Division. I have prepared and assisted in the preparation of numerous warrants targeting gang-related activity in and around the Los Angeles area. On October 12th, 2016, at approximately 10:30 hours, an attempted murder occurred at the time is blanked out. Demond Camper is an admitted East Coast Crip with a moniker of Snoopy Blue. Camper and his friend Tanny Roberts were both shot outside the above location. Oh, that wasn't the time. I'm sorry. That was the address. And transported to Harbor UCLA Hospital, where they were treated for their gunshot wounds. Witnesses observed two suspects. Suspect 1 was described by witnesses as a male black with black hair, approximately 6 foot tall, 20 years old, and wearing a red hooded sweatshirt. Suspect 2 was described by witnesses as a black male with black hair, approximately 5'11", tall, 20 years old, and wearing gray sweater and tan pants. Both the suspects fled east on 94th Street towards Central Avenue. Expended casings were found from 2 different handguns. A .45 caliber casings were found on the north side of 94th Street. East of the victims, .40 caliber casings were recovered from the south side of 94th Street, east of the victims. Officer Giger, serial number 42115, in a villa, serial number 41327, took the initial investigative report. They responded to Harbor UCLA to interview the victims. They met with victim Tanny Roberts, who advised he and Camper were hanging out when they observed 2 suspects, one wearing a red hoodie and the other beige pants and a dark colored shirt. The male with the red hoodie pulled an unknown type black handgun and pointed it at them. Roberts began to yell, "We don't bang, we don't bang." Roberts turned to run and felt a pain in his right near buttock and realized he was shot. The officers were unable to interview Camper due to his medical treatment at the time. Southeast Gang Detective Fernandez, serial number 41058, was assigned this case, and on October 3rd, 2016, responded to the hospital to interview victim Demond Camper. Camper observed both suspects during the incident above, one wearing a gray shirt and the other wearing a red sweatshirt. Camper focused on the male wearing the red sweatshirt because he began to walk quickly in his direction. The suspect had his right hand in his center sweatshirt pocket, shuffling it as if he were, I'm sorry guys, I lost my, as if he were trying to access a gun. The suspect was at the mouth of the north-south alley west of Clovis when the second victim, Tanny, called out to Camper, "Get over here." Camper felt that he was about to be shot, stating, "Once I saw red, I knew something bad was going to happen because I knew they were on the wrong side of town. I got up, started walking towards the house, and heard the shots." Camper felt a burning pain to his right back and knew he was shot. Camper fell to the ground and observed the suspect running east towards Clovis. Officer Fernandez canvassed the area for the video and found cameras that covered the area of Bellhaven Avenue between 92nd and 93rd Street, approximately 2 blocks east of the shooting. He was able to recover video footage which revealed males matching the description of the 2 suspects. The video was accurately time-stamped and shows the males running east on 93rd Street from Central Avenue. After the shooting occurred, specifically the video shows on October 12th, 2016, at approximately 10:29 hours, a male wearing a dark-colored shirt and light-colored pants is seen walking eastbound on the south sidewalk of 93rd Street from Central Avenue. Seconds later, a male wearing a red hoodie, sweater, and black pants is also seen walking east on the south sidewalk of 93rd Street of Central Avenue. The male wearing the red hoodie, sweatshirt, and black pants then walks westbound on 93rd Street towards Belhaven Avenue. At approximately 10:31 hours, the male quickly walks northbound on Belhaven Avenue and runs into the apartment complex via a pedestrian gate while clutching his right hand against his front sweatshirt pocket as if he is securing a heavy object. The male is last seen quickly walking up the stairs toward apartment number 4 at 9220 9220 Belhaven Avenue while holding his right hand in his hooded front pocket as if he is concealing something. Note, the male in the red sweatshirt is last seen at the threshold of the door to apartment number 4 at 9220 Belhaven Avenue. There is no access to any other apartment at the top of this staircase, only number 4. Due to the camera angle, he is never seen entering the location. Next page. Management of the apartments at 9220 South Belhaven advised that they are currently evicting the resident of apartment number 4. They provided his name of Tavares Melvin. Utilizing department resources, Officer Fernandez verified that he is an admitted Bebop blood with the moniker of Melly Mel. Detective Pierce, serial number 36561, and Detective Marisco were able to locate video footage from the marijuana clinic at 9219 South Central Avenue. The video faces south on Central and covers approximately 50 yards east of 93rd Street. Note, the video footage timestamp was off by approximately 10 minutes. The footage shows two males running from the west side of Central Avenue to the east side of Central Avenue, then east on 93rd Street. The timestamp of the video reads 10:39 hours. The footage is in black and white. The suspects are similar in size and stature to the suspects described in the video above. On October 20th, 2016, Detective Pierce was conducting surveillance on 9220 Belhaven while Officer Fernandez was retrieving additional video from the location. While Fernandez was in the location, he observed a black male wearing a white t-shirt over black shorts similar in size and stature to the above described male suspect in the red sweatshirt walk out of apartment number 4. Pierce had previously viewed the above video and believed he was the same person. 9220 South Belhaven Avenue is approximately 2 blocks away from 935 East 94th Street, where the shooting occurred. The above described incidents are linked by timing, proximity, and suspect descriptions. 9220 South Belhaven is in an area controlled by the notoriously violent Bebop Bloods. Bebop Bloods. Sorry about that, guys. I'm having a little problem. Okay. And 935 East 94th Street is an area controlled by the 97th East Coast Crips. Bebop Bloods and 97th East Coast Crips consider each other enemies. So now here's the next picture here. We got a photo lineup and array here. Let's see, zoom in. You see all the different people there. And then you say, it says right here, this lineup was printed on 10/26/2016, 3/14/43, which means 1:04 in the afternoon because it's military time, and is restricted for official law enforcement use only. Lineup identifier 34958, and under it there you see it says Snoopy Blue, and I can't really read what that says here, but it's gonna, I believe, describe that stuff here. So here we go. Case number, no need for me to read the number. Case name, People versus Patrick McLean and Darren Potes. Compton, California, Department SC-4, Honorable Judge Sean D. Cohen, Judge Zuhal R. Felix, if I'm pronouncing that correct, 10:55 a.m. Appearances: Defendant Patrick McLean, present with counsel Craig Kirkwood, Deputy Public Defender. Defendant Darren Poltz, present with counsel Nagme Sharamatamandar. I'm sorry, guys, I really don't know how to pronounce that. Deputy Alternate Public Defender Alfred Culetta. Deputy District Attorney representing the people of the state of California. The court's going to go, and this is the minutes from the court hearing, guys. So this is the court talking. The court's going to go on the record now in the matter of the People versus McLean and Poltz case TA 141644. If I can have counsel please state their appearances. Mr. Kirkwood, Craig Kirkwood, Deputy Public Defender, on behalf of Patrick McLean, who is present, detained before the court, which means he's in custody. Mr. Sharamata, I can't pronounce that name. He says alternate public defender for Mr. Poltz. He is present before the court in custody. Mr. Culetta, Alfred Culetta, at counsel table is Isaac Fernandez. I'd ask permission that he remain as the designated investigative officer in the preliminary hearing. So it says the court. Detective Fernandez, Mr. Culetta, Isaac. The court, Detective Isaac, Mr. Culetta. Fernandez, Officer Isaac. Officer Fernandez, yes, sir. The court will be designated as the the court will be designated as the investigating officer in this matter. Mr. Kirkwood, is defense ready for a preliminary hearing? Mr. Kirkwood, yes. The court, Mr. Shire, however you say that guy's name, he says yes. The court says Mr. Culetta. Mr. Culetta says yes. The court, all right, you may call your first witness. Mr. Kirkwood, defense makes a motion to exclude all actual potential witnesses. And then this guy says joined. The court, any actual potential witnesses are excluded at this time. Mr. Culetta, people call Damon Camper. The clerk, do you solemnly state, I don't got to read all that he's sworn in, and the witness says, who I believe, yes, this is Snoopy Blue. He says, yes. The clerk, thank you. Sir, please step up on the witness stand and have a seat. And sir, is that microphone operating? The court, pull the microphone up to you and move your chair up, please. The clerk, sir, if you would, please state and spell your name for the court reporter. The witness, Damon Camper, Demondcamper. The clerk, thank you, sir. Counsel, any proceed. Mr. Culetta, thank you, Your Honor. Damon Camper, Snoopy Blue. You see that says right there, 97th East Coast. Called as a witness by the people, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. Direct examination. This is Mr. Culetta questioning him here. Mr. Camper, I want to direct your attention to October 12th of the year 2016. Do you recall on that date and in the morning being at the address of 935 East 94th Street in the city of Los Angeles? Yes. Do you remember approximately what time in the morning you were at the address I brought to your attention? Maybe about 10:30, somewhere in there. Were you visiting someone? Yes. Who were you visiting? Tanny. Tanny? Yeah. Is that spelled Tanny? Yes. And prior to that day, did you live in that area? Yes. What street did you live on in that area prior to that day? 94th and Broadway. So the same street? Yes. For how many years did you reside there? Over 30. And on this day of October 12, 2016, were you actually living on that street at that time? No. When you were visiting with Mr. Tanny, just for the sake of clarification, excuse me, sorry guys, what is Tanny's last name? Roberts. Okay, when you were visiting with Mr. Roberts, were you inside or outside of the residence? Outside. And did you drive to that location? Yes. And where did you position your car prior to making contact with Mr. Roberts? In the driveway. The court. Sir, I'm going to ask you, Could you just scoot up a little bit more so we can hear you? Speak into the microphone. Thank you very much. You may proceed. Mr. Coletta, thank you. Bye, Mr. Coletta. And when you positioned your car in or near the driveway, was your car completely on the driveway? And he said it was like outside the gate, kind of on the sidewalk and driveway. Mr. Coletta, okay. I'd like to mark one exhibit as people's number one first, Your Honor. I've marked the reverse side of this page, people's number one. It's a Google map aerial shot of the area showing on the top part of the Exhibit A map on the area of the lower half showing one residence, the court. That will be marked collectively as People's 1. So then it says marked for identification, People's Exhibits 1, Google Map. So it says permission to approach the witness, the court, yes. Mr. Camper, I'm going to show you an exhibit. We've marked it number 1 on the reverse side. Reverse side. People's number 1. I'd like you to take a look at the face sheet of the People's number 1. Can you see the top portion and bottom portion? Yeah. The printing is kind of small. If I don't know if you can read where the red mark is there. Is that a street that you recognize in your testimony this far? He said, yes. All right. Does that approximately show 94th Street? Yes. And then the boundaries for 94th Street are what in the east and west side? What would be the boundaries? Clovis and Wadsworth. Wadsworth, yes. Wadsworth, would that be on the west or the east side? West side. Clovis would be on the east side, yes. And then a part of the same exhibit, we have a photograph of a residence. Do you recognize the picture of the residence? Yes. And is that Mr. Roberts' residence? Yes. Now in the same picture of the residence, you see the exterior shot of the residence. Is that correct? Yes. Can you just take my pen and, as best you can, position where you placed your car on that day, October 12th, showing how you had it parked like that? Okay, so you've drawn a line and an X on what appears to be a sidewalk and apron of the driveway. Yeah, the court. The record will so reflect the lower left-hand corner of the center picture of People's 1. Mr. Coletta, thank you. So basically, your car was straddling the sidewalk and partly in the apron of the driveway. Yes. And when you met with Mr. Roberts, did you thereafter continue and have your conversations outside? Yes. And for a period of time, had the two of you been outside that morning? Yeah. We was outside for 15 minutes or so. And maybe a little longer than that. A little bit longer? Maybe so. Okay. And was it just the two of you that were conversing? Yes. Before I move on, how he was saying, was it just the two of you? I'd like to point that if they were, giving this testimony in court, it's based on a statement that they made, they're reiterating the statement in court, because if a victim doesn't show up in a crime like this, the case could be dismissed. So what I'm saying is they gave a statement. You feel me? Now, I don't know. Like I said, you guys tell me if this is snitching, but gangbangers is supposed to say, I don't know what happened. Not, all this. This is all things they went over in the statement. So let me continue on. And what were you actually doing, if anything, besides conversing? Were you doing anything else? Wiping off the car. What side of the car were you wiping off the car? Driver's side. And where was Mr. Roberts when you were wiping off the car off the side of your driver's side? He was standing in front of me, next to me. On the driver's side as well? Yes. And during some part of that morning, when you were with Mr. Roberts, was there a time that he got your attention to look in a different direction? Mr. Kirkwood. Objection leading. The court overruled. Back to Mr. Coletta. You can answer. Can you repeat? Was there a time he got your attention? Yes. And how did he get your attention? He said he called my name. Mr. Kirkwood, objection, calls for hearsay. The court overruled. The witness, he called my name and said, I don't know these guys. Coletta, again, questioning. Did you look in a particular area? When I looked up, I took off running. When you looked up, what did you see? I just seen two guys approaching me, moving kind of rapidly. These two guys were on the street, the sidewalk, or where were they? Sidewalk. And were they on the opposite side of the street of 94th? On the same side of the street that you were positioned? Same side. So just to make some geographic clarification, the residence of 935 East 94th Street is the actual residence of the north or south side of the street. It's the north side. And if I understand your testimony, then these two men were walking on the north side of the street, but on the sidewalk. Yes. And when you noted them from where you were positioned, how far were they from you when you first observed them? They were pretty close, maybe about 10 feet, 10 to 15 feet. And having that spatial amount of area between yourself and them, did it appear that they were within the property area of Mr. Roberts' residence, but yet on the public sidewalk? Yes. Do you remember what ethnicity they were? Well, they looked like they were black. And do you recall looking back in this time frame what their age may have been? No. How old are you, Mr. Camper? I'm 40. Did they appear to be younger than you or older than you? Maybe younger, but to be honest, I really didn't get a good look at them. How are they dressed? I just seen red, so I would say dressed like I was, just different color. So I'm going to stop again real quick. That's giving a description. Whether he's saying like, I was this guy and saying a name, he's, and obviously there's defendants, there's people in custody that were picked up on this. And this testimony is helping, I don't know if these guys were convicted or what, but this testimony is being used to prosecute these guys. So for someone saying, oh, I went there and didn't say nothing, it doesn't really sound like that to me. So getting back to this, when you say red, the entirety of their outfit being red or just maybe their upper clothing or lower clothing? When I looked up, I seen two red sweatshirts, just charging towards me. So I didn't really get a chance to really, Now you said charging. Did it appear they were walking fast towards you? Yeah. And was one of taller than the other? Yes. So there's more of a description, height. Mr. Kirkwood, objection leading. The court overruled. The witness seemed like it? Yes, Mr. Coletta. And give me what you recall to be the approximate height of one versus the other male. Well, I'm 6'2", so I just, kind of estimated how tall I was, But like I said, it was so fast, I really couldn't tell you. Well, let's start with the taller of the two men. Would you say that person that you have in mind was equivalent to your height? Yeah, maybe, yeah. You're 6'2". Is that yes? Yes. Then the other person, the other male black, was shorter. Is that correct? Yes. So identifying the guy's height. By how many inches would you approximate? Maybe a couple inches shorter. So 6 feet maybe. 6 feet, 5'11", something like that. How about the build? You're a lean sort of a guy. How would you characterize their build? Like I said, I really didn't get that opportunity to observe them like that. So I can really say how they were built. Did it appear they were overweight? No. Did any one of them have a covering of the head? Not that I recall. Did either of them have what appeared to be glasses? I think so. Whoa, there's some more description. Would that be taller? Would that be the taller individual than you described? Or, I'm sorry, he said, would that be the taller individual you described or the more shorter of the two? I'm not sure. Did you see any handguns? Yeah, that's why I ran. So he's saying definitely that they had a gun. As I said, man, you guys decide, if you consider this snitching, but I don't know if you guys saw, I seen earlier, dude talking. I didn't say nothing. I don't know. You went in there and you said a lot. I've seen footage of people in court saying, I don't know nothing. I don't know. I don't recall. These are some pretty in-depth answers. Yeah, that's why I ran. So you saw the handguns first, then you ran. Is that correct? Well, it all kind of happened like simultaneously. Like I just looked up, seen two guys approach me, put up something, I took off running and got hit. So he just said he saw them come up, pulled the heat on them, ran and got shot. All right, now you're stating you saw something. It is not clear what you saw, or was it a handgun or handguns that you saw? I think it was a handgun. If I'm not mistaken. Okay, you are familiar with handguns? Yes. All right. What you saw in the hands, or appeared to be the hands of either one of them, did appear to have a shape of a handgun? Yes. Do you know the difference between a revolver and a semi-automatic handgun? Yes. Could you discern from that point of view on that day whether it was a revolver or a semi-automatic handgun that is in the hand of either one of the men? No, I couldn't distinguish that. I wasn't that close to notice or, pay attention to what kind of firearm it was. When you saw what appeared to be a handgun or handguns, did any one of the men have their hand outstretched pointing them in your direction? Yeah, at that point, I wasn't turned toward them. I was going down the driveway. By the time the guns were out, I was already... Do you think you ran down the driveway behind or in front of Mr. Roberts? I ran in front of him. So you were the first one to get down the driveway. Yeah. And when you initially began going onto the driveway, leaving the public sidewalk, Mr. Coletta, permission again to approach, Your Honor. The court, yes. Were you hit by any bullet prior to going to rear part of the residence? Yes. Where were you hit on the driveway, if you recall when you were hit? Right at the gate. So right at the mouth of the driveway. Yeah. So, man, this is, like I said, you gave a statement, when you were at the hospital or at some point prior to this. You didn't say, I don't know. You sat down and gave a statement, and that's why, this is going on here. And I remember the Snoopy Blue dude. Now, we all know Game is a suspect dude. He used to always come at Game all crazy, right? Calling him all types of a fuckboy and everything. But if I recall, when Game got shot, Game didn't say shit. Game wasn't in court on the stand like this, But anyways, getting back to this. And you guys, I'm not saying, anyone who goes to court is a piece of shit or you're just a straight rat. Civilians and things like that, that's what they do. I'm saying if you're a hardcore gangbang, and you guys have heard this dude's music, he's, cripping to the fullest. I mean, I don't know, man. What do you guys think about this? Is this snitching? All right, so were you struck by gunfire, Mr. Camper? My back, upper shoulder. I'm sorry, where were you struck by gunfire, Mr. Camper? My back, upper shoulder. Can you point so the judge could see where you were hit? If you don't mind standing up, right here. The court. The witness has indicating toward the right side, just under the right shoulder area. Mr. Coletta, thank you. They're thanking him and shit. Sound like friends. Nah, I'm just fucking around. Mr. Coletta, so you were in the driveway. You're running towards the backyard. You were hit, as you described, by under the right shoulder area. Yeah. Were you struck more than once or just that one time? Just that one time. And at that point in time when you were hit, did you continue running down the driveway towards the backyard? Yes. At any time did you stop and turn around and look at the gunman? No. In the time while you were running down the driveway towards the backyard, did you hear anything? Can you repeat that? Certainly. After you were hit, while running still down the driveway, heading towards the backyard, Did you hear anything? Yeah, I continued to hear gunshots. How many gunshots do you think you heard in total from the time you first were struck to the point in time it stopped? I'd say about 12 to 14 times. When you were hit by a bullet, did you recall if there were shots fired before you were actually hit? If I'm not mistaken, I think the first bullet hit me because it kind of knocked me inside the gate. That kind of gave me momentum to run down the driveway. I'm going to object as calling. This is Mr. Sharmatar. I don't know how to say this guy's name. The dude that I couldn't pronounce his name. And I still can't. You guys, look at that. How do you say that name? Sharia Tamadar? Sharia Tamadar? I'm going to object as calling for speculation and moving to strike. The court sustained. Your recollection is that one of the first shots you heard was the one that struck you. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. When running down the driveway, did you hear anyone say anything? No. Did you ever hear Mr. Roberts say anything? No. Well, I heard him call my name after the fact, but I didn't. I wasn't right there. Where he was at that time, at that particular time. When you say where he was at that particular time, where are you referring to? With regard to the position, I presume the backyard. Yeah, I ran past him to the backyard, so I don't know what exactly he did. But by the time I got to the rear of the backyard, he was screaming my name, making sure I was all right, but I couldn't reply back. All right, do you remember him, Mr. Roberts? Do you remember Mr. Roberts stating, I'm hit? Yeah. Okay, what was that before you got to the backyard or at the same time? It was about the same time. Did you turn around to look to see where Mr. Roberts was when you heard him state, I'm hit? He was at the front yard. I was in the backyard. See, I had to make my way back to the front to see where he was at. Like I said, I couldn't respond after him. I couldn't breathe at that time. Okay, so how familiar are you with Mr. Roberts' residence? Very familiar. Okay. Is there a front porch? Yes. All right. To the west side of the front porch, would that be the area of the driveway? Yes. When you turned around to look, Mr. Roberts, when you heard I'm hit, was he in the position where he appeared to be the front yard area, but on the driveway? Yes. Now, you heard 12, maybe more shots, something like that in total? Yeah. The sound that you heard that you believed to be gunshots, did it appear to you to be more than one handgun being discharged? Objection, foundation. That's the Sharabiatar, however you say it. The court, what was? Mr. Kirkwood, foundation. I join. The court, sustained. Mr. Coletta, how would you characterize the 12 shots? Were they something you heard within a period of 3 seconds it was over? How would you characterize the duration of those 12 shots? I mean, it was longer than 3 seconds, like I said. It happened so fast. It was like back to back to back. Okay, are you familiar with different caliber types of handguns? Yeah. Are you, in your experience with handguns, are you familiar with large caliber handguns versus a different size caliber handguns? Is that a trick question? No, there is no trick question. I don't know what your experience is. I'm trying to find out. Well, I don't have professional experience. Well, what will be some of the smaller, I'm sorry. What will be some of the smaller caliber handguns if you know the sizes? 22, 25 would be small. Okay, what about larger caliber handguns? If that's you're familiar with, 9 and 45. Okay, do you know if the types of sounds of those 9mm 40, 45s make versus a 22 and 25 caliber? Uh-huh. The court, I'm sorry, what was the answer? The witness. Or he said, huh? The court, I'm sorry, what was the answer? The witness. No. The sound that you heard, did it sound to you like it was a large caliber or small caliber? Objection, foundation. And then the Kirkwood dude says, join, court, sustain the objection. The individuals that saw you that day, the two that were approaching you very fast on the sidewalk, you said that you saw red. What part of their clothing was red? Like the upper body. Were they sweaters, jackets, shirts? What kind of clothing would you say? Appeared to be sweaters. And the two individuals here in court today that are wearing the blue county jail outfits, do they look familiar to you? No. So in your opinion, as you sit there today looking at them, you don't think that they're either of one of them are the shooters in this case? I mean, I don't know. So, I mean, I don't want to speculate. We don't want you to speculate. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they aren't. You're saying you don't know. I don't know. He was, for the record, he was referring to Mr. McLean and Mr. Potes. The court record will so reflect. They are the only two individuals with LA County jumpsuits by Mr. Coletta. I'm sorry. They are the only two individuals with LA County jumpsuits. And then it says by Mr. Coletta, meaning this is his question again. This is him asking questions again. Mr. Camper, are you in the music industry at all? Yes. What kind of music do you produce or are you involved with? Objection, relevance. The court, what's the relevance? Mr. Coletta, should I come sidebar the court? Well, it's sustained at this time. I want you to ask another question. Are you known in the community? Yes. How are you known in the community? Through my music. What kind of music is that? Rap music. And the 30 years plus, I believe, you said or more that you resided on East 94th Street. Do you have community recognition there as a rapper? Objection, foundation. The court overruled. Witness, yes. Now, are you at all aware of some of the street gangs that are in that area? Of course, growing up over there, you have to be aware of your surroundings. Okay. Whereas you grew up in that area, particularly East 94th Street, are there criminal street gangs to the west of Wadsworth or north of 94th that you're familiar with? Yes. What gangs would that in the area? Yes, sir. East Coast, Main Street, Sly, Phonetic, which in parentheses above there it says Swan, Bebop, Pack Game, Phonetic, depending on which way you go. So I think referring to what you say, which way you go, some of them are rivals. Would that be fair to say? Yeah, I guess. So like East Coast is Crips, is that correct? Yes. And based on your history on living in that community amongst the gangs you named, which ones would be rivals? I would say all of them. I mean, I don't want to pinpoint anybody, but I mean, they're all rivals. Okay. Depends on who you are as a person and who you mess with. Okay. And was there any particular one of those groups that you mentioned that you perhaps had more familiarity with than another? No, I'm familiar with all of them. In the past, do you think that you've been more familiar with them, say, East Coast Crips, than you have Bebop Bloods or the Swans? Or, I mean, of course, I grew up on this side of the fence, so obviously I more or less know them people affiliated with East Coast. Were you ever a member of the East Coast Crips? No. Ever an associate? I mean, I grew up over here, so of course I'm an associate. Okay, now as a result of the injury that you suffered, Mr. Camper, did you have surgery? Yes. And was there a time in which you were in the hospital? Yes. One more question. Just before or after you were immediately shot, did you hear either of the two men that you described say anything towards you or Mr. Roberts? No. Nothing further. The witness. No one said anything to me. The court. All right. Cross-examination. Mr. Kirkwood. So here's the next lawyer here. Good morning, Mr. Camper. Good morning. How are you doing, sir? I'm all right. Now, you indicated that you grew up on 919 East 19th Street. Is that correct? Yes. And you've lived in that area all your life. Is that right? Since I was, yeah, I guess I have. And you're 40 years old now. Is that correct? Yes. And you've indicated that you're not a gang member. Is that right, sir? Yes. Now, on October 12th, 2016, you were in front of 935 East 94th Street. Is that correct? Again, repeat that. On October 12th, you were in front of 935 East 94th Street. Yes. And you were there with your friend, Mr. Roberts. Is that right? Yes. And you were kneeling down, wiping down a car. Is that correct? Yes. What kind of car was it? I really don't understand what kind of car I'm driving. What the fuck? He really don't understand what kind of car he's driving. Okay, is it a 4-door car, 2-door, 4-door? Okay, and you indicated on direct that you were on the driver's side. Yes. You were wiping down the vehicle. Yes. And you were about 15 to 20 feet away from the men who started shooting when they first started shooting. Is that correct? I wouldn't say 15, 20. It was a little closer. Okay, so how close were you, sir? Well, like I said, maybe like 10 or 15 feet. Okay. Do you remember giving a statement to the police on October 26th, 2016? hospital. Is that right? Yes. And there were no officers that spoke to you at the hospital that same day, correct? No, not the same day. The next day you were interviewed by an officer. Is that right? Yes. Was it this officer sitting right here? Yeah. And when you talked to this officer, you described seeing two people and one had a red sweatshirt on, right? No, I think both had it on. He said they both had it on. Get it right, man. Sweatshirts. Both had on red sweatshirts. Yeah. Did you ever tell this officer that one of them had a gray sweatshirt on? No. You never said that? No. Okay. And when you went and talked to LAPD again on October 26th, you went to the station, correct? Yes. Willingly went there, guys. Was that southeast or 77th? I don't know if it's southeast. I didn't hear what you said. It was the 108th Police Department. I don't know if that's southeast. It was the one that is on 108th. Yes. And did you talk to this officer again, or was it a different officer? Talk to him. Okay. And you told him that on that day, the two people had red, right? Yes. And there was nothing covering those people's faces, correct? Correct. And you described the taller individual as being light-skinned. Oh, he's even getting into skin tones here. Isn't that right? I believe so. Do you want to? I believe so. I'm not sure. Would it help to refresh your recollection to look at the transcript? If you have it, I believe you. Okay. So when you think back on that day, when you talked to the detective at the station, do you remember telling this officer that one of them was shorter and wearing a red sweatshirt? Correct. Yes. One of them was taller and he was light-skinned. He might have said that. I'm not sure. Okay, let me just go ahead and show you that transcript to see if it refreshes your recollection. Sorry guys. All this staring at this strains your eyes a little bit. It's not going to refresh me or what I said. If you have it on paper, I believe you. I'm just saying. So if it says I see red, tall, a light-skinned dude, it was a tall, light-skinned dude with all red on. Does that sound about right? If you have that, yeah. Okay, and on the 26th, you were shown multiple six-packs photographs, correct? Yes, 2 of them. How many do you remember? Maybe 2 or 3. I'm not exactly sure. Okay. And in the 2 or 3 that were shown, did you ever circle this individual who I'm standing right next to, Mr. Pote's photograph in any of the 6-packs? No, I didn't. So he circled some. We seen it on there, but it isn't this guy. Both attorneys have said that, and he's confirmed it. Did you even recognize him in any of those photos? No. Okay. And just so the record is clear, would you describe this individual sitting right here, Mr. Pote's skin complexion as being light skinned? No. Okay. Did you, when you were at the station, did any officers ever take you to another station to actually see people be brought out and identify them? No. He says, okay, nothing further. The court. Anything further, Mr. Coletta? Mr. Coletta. No, Your Honor. The court. Thank you, sir. You are excused. Mr. Coletta. Thank you, Mr. Camper. The court. You may call your next witness, Mr. Coletta. People call Tanny Roberts. And then it says next to him, T. Loke, Tanny Loke, 97th East Coast. They swear him in, and then the clerk says to him, thank you, sir. Please step up and have a seat in the witness stand. It's sir, if you could speak into the microphone, would you please state your name and spell it? He spells his name, Tanny Roberts, Tanny. You guys see all that. Thank you, counsel. You may proceed, Mr. Coletta. Thank you. Tanny Roberts, called as a witness by the people, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. Direct examination. This is Mr. Coletta questioning first. Mr. Roberts, I want to go back in time to October 12th of last year, 2016. Were you living on East 94th Street and specifically at 935 East 94th Street? Yes. And is 2 of the cross streets at the east and the west end being Clovis and the other being Wadsworth. Yes. And approximately 10:25, 10:30 in the morning on October 12th, were you at your residence? Yes. And were you visiting with someone at that time? Yes. And who are you visiting with? My friend. What's that person's name? Demond. Demond? Demond? Yeah. And when you were visiting with Demond, was that inside or outside of the residence? It was outside. And when you and excuse me. And where exactly at your residence were you? Outside. Do you remember? My driveway, sidewalk. I got an exhibit, People's One I marked earlier. Approach the court, yes. Mr. Coletta. Permission to approach the court, yes. Mr. Coletta. He says, Mr. Roberts, I'm going to show you what's marked on the reverse side, P number 1. On the front side, you'll see at the top portion is the placement of your street that you resided at and the boundaries that we just discussed. Lower portion has a photograph. Do you recognize the photograph? Yes. Does that show your residence? Yes. And in this particular picture, do you recognize the driveway and sidewalk area that you were just mentioning in one of your responses? He said yes. Okay. Was your automobile or truck or motor home anywhere on the driveway or in front of the residence on that morning? It was in front of the residence. It was on the street. Excuse me, guys. Okay. And what kind of vehicle was it that was parked in front of the residence? It was a fifth wheel trailer RV. Recreational vehicle, yes. And in your recollection, was the RV parked close to your driveway but at the curb? Yes. And did Mr. Damon arrive in this vehicle? Yes. And how did Mr. Damon position his vehicle? He says, as he was visiting with you, parked in the driveway. And it was completely on your driveway, officially, or no, it was between the street and the driveway. Okay. Was that blocking part of the sidewalk? Yes. Was your gate open? Partially. When I say gate, is it like a chain-link fence gate or iron gate that you rod iron gate, he says. They can close to separate the driveway from the public sidewalk. He says, yes. And as the two of you were outside, other than conversing with one another, excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. Was one of you detailing the car? Yes. Which one of you was detailing the car? Damon. And what side of the car was he working on while you were talking? He was on the driver's side. And were you positioned with regards to the bod as he's working on the driver's side of his car? I would say on the sidewalk, like the front of his car, the same side. And at some point in time, did something get your attention? Yes. What was it that got your attention? A couple of guys was walking up real fast that I hadn't seen before, and that's what's got my attention. What side of the street were these two guys in? Came on the same side of the street we were standing on. Is your residence located on the north side or the south side of the street? It's on the north side. And these two men that you saw, were they walking on the sidewalk? Yes. Did it appear they were side by side? Yes. How would you describe the manner of their walk? Was it normal pace, fast, slow? How would you characterize it? It was walking fast. And where are they initially when you first set eyes on them? About 2 houses away from when you saw these two guys that you had never seen before. Did you say anything to Mr. Damon? Yes. And what was the purpose in you saying something to Mr. Damon? Yes. What was your purpose? I didn't know the guys that was walking up to us fast. I hadn't seen them before. Were you attempting to alert Damon? Yeah, I was. And what did you say to Damon? Yes. I told him, I don't know these cats. So what's the next thing that happens? I look up at the two guys. It's like we made eye contact. They stopped in their steps. Where was that? They stopped. On the sidewalk in front of us still. Like 2 houses away. When we made eye contact, one of the guys, I had seen him start pulling at his sweatshirt, and I said, "We don't bang, we don't bang, we don't bang." The one guy that you said was pulling out the sweatshirt, would it be the one most closest to the curbing, or the one most closest to the resident side of the sidewalk, of that sidewalk? That is the person you described. Closest to the resident side. And that sweatshirt, did it have a particular color that you noted in thinking back? Yes. What color was that sweatshirt? It was red. And the sweatshirt that the man was pulling, excuse me guys, from, was it from the sweatshirt or from under the sweatshirt? What did it appear to you to be that he was doing? To me, it appeared that he was pulling out a gun. But what part of the sweatshirt? Was it the front or the actual sweater? From the sweatshirt, the front pocket. Thank you. That caused you to concern to see that gesture being made by this male that you've described? Yes. Anything else about that man that you are describing to make this gesture, pulling out a gun, that you could recall today that gives us a better description of this person? Well, he had the red sweatshirt on. I don't know why, but this guy caught my attention out of the two. And I felt as if I was talking to him when I said, "We don't bang," and he just kept shooting. Before the shooting started, Mr. Roberts, again, I want to focus on this one individual that you've described pulling from his sweatshirt. Did it appear he had a hoodie attached to the sweatshirt? Yes. Was the hoodie covering the head or not? Yes, it was. Yes. You wear eyeglasses, is that correct? Yes. Are they prescription eyeglasses? Yes. Were you wearing those on that day? No. Was the individuals that you are identifying wearing glasses? Yes. So there's another detail. Although this isn't Snoopy Blue, this is the T-Loke, dude. Tanny Loke. Sorry. Wearing glasses, yes. Do you recall from the distance that you were to him, if you could see the color of the frames? Yes. What color were the frames? They were black. Could you see the individual's face as you're looking at my face today? Yes. Did you see what appeared to be a clean-shaven face or a beard or something in between to describe the facial hair on the face of that same individual? Objection, leading. The court overruled. The witness: I can't say that I seen facial hair. I can't say that I seen facial hair. Do you recall describing the individual as having a scruffy face? Yeah. All right. When you use that word scruffy, how do you use it? What context do you use that word? When describing a man's face to appear scruffy, and he says unshaved. Unshaved, did you actually see a gun being drawn from the sweatshirt? Yes. And from your distance to this man, was he coming closer to you at any point in time? Mr. Kirkwood: objection. Vague as to time. The court overruled. The witness: ask me the question again. Did it appear that either of the men were approaching, walking closer to where you were as you were watching the pulling of the handgun out of the sweatshirt? Yeah, yes. And was it the same pace that you described earlier when describing walking of the two men? No, it was like they slowed down and stopped. Can you describe the second person? The person that was closer to the street side, but yet still standing on the sidewalk. How that person appeared to you? I couldn't identify that person. He was invisible to me. He was there, but you couldn't give us details. Right. It was two people, but I couldn't say nothing about him. Do you remember his upper clothing to be dark or red as the other individual? I don't remember nothing about him. Okay. As far as describing the physical attributes of the one person in the red, could you give an opinion as to the age of that same person? No. How old are you, sir? I'm 48 years old. Do the two men appear younger than you? Yes. Okay, can you give an opinion as to the range of their age? 30 to 40, 20 to 30, 20 to 25. How do you characterize their appearance as to age? Kids, youngsters. I don't know. Some teenagers have full beards at 15, 16. So, I don't know. Younger than 30, I would say. Now, do you recall when you gave a statement? So, with this guy, T-Loc also gave a statement to police on October 26th, giving a little more information concerning the second individual, that today you are saying you don't have a recollection of his appearance. Do you recall describing that individual to the police on October 26th of last year? He says no. If I were to show you your statement, would it help you remember what you described? Probably, I couldn't say. The court. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. I said probably. I couldn't say. All right, may I approach? Yes. I'm going to show you a transcript of what you stated on page 8 of the October 26th interview, approximately at line 9. I'd like you to read it to yourself, Mr. Roberts. Start at line 9 and read it about half a dozen lines. Read it to yourself. Don't read it out loud. Did you say page 8? Yes, that's the October 26th interview. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Did you read the lines that I've asked you to look at? Yes. Okay. Do you see where there's a description to the person wearing a gray or medium gray sweatshirt? Is that yes? Yes. Okay. When giving that sweatshirt, when giving that statement, that is your statement, correct? Yes. Okay. So just to be clear, you'll see in the legend page there where it references by a letter as to who is speaking. And when you see the R, it's referring to Tanny Roberts. Okay. So when you see the R after the legend column of that page, there is an R and a statement. It's referring to Mr. Roberts, transcribed in this. That's transcribed in this transcript. Okay. Okay, so where this reference to, I'm sorry. Okay, so you see where this reference to the person wearing the gray sweatshirt, is that, I'm sorry, guys, is that yes? Yes, okay, so when you made that statement describing someone wearing a gray sweatshirt, you were describing, if I read this correctly, one of the two men. Is that correct? Yes, okay. When you made this statement, I believe, Mr. Carius, the officer Fernandez, Mr. Fernandez was one of the two individuals that in that room when you made that statement. Okay. Do you remember that interview? Yes. Okay, let's talk about the second individual for a moment, okay? This has now refreshed your memory. Was wearing a gray sweatshirt. Yes, okay. Just this part itself, which has refreshed your memory. Do you remember any more detail about that person? The second person, the one wearing a gray sweatshirt? No. Did it appear that both of them were wearing the same, did it appear that both of them were the same ethnicity? Yes. What ethnicity was that? African American. Did it appear to you, looking back to that point in time, that they were close in age? Your Honor calls for speculation. The witness, I can't say. The court overruled. Did this person, who again wore the gray sweatshirt,